Welcome to Optimal Game State. In this video, we're going to be looking at the recent lore changes in Necromunda with the release of the Aranthian Succession trilogy. There will be spoilers, so if you want to read these books by yourself, come back to this video after you've done so. The 3 books each include a campaign, new rules, new gear, and new special characters. They also include a large lore section, and across all 3 books tell of the fall of the House of Helmar. Before we get into that, just in case you're completely fresh at setting, we're going to have a quick look at some of the basics. Necromunda is a planet in the Segmentum Solar that is a major weapons producer. It's a hive world, which means it has a massive population located within hive cities. These arcologies can cover continents and extend kilometers into the sky as well as deep below. Necromunda has multiple of these hive cities, with the primary one called Hive Primus. The lands between these hives are radioactive wastelands, sometimes referred to as the Ash Wastes. Now, the classic games of Necromunda happen in the underhive, the lower parts of the hive where order has broken down and the gangs fight for control. In 2022, GW introduced their Ash Waste box, which, while still very much Necromunda, takes those gangs out of the hive and has more of a focus on vehicles and open terrain. For today's discussion, it's important to understand how it opens up the story in ways we haven't seen before. This story begins with the Cicatrix Maledictum, the great warp rift across the galaxy after the destruction of Cadia. In Necromunda, it was referred to as the Great Darkness, as the massive upheaval resulted in blackouts within the hive cities. Violence immediately broke out as the panic set in. Although the power was restored after 13 days, the planet was already in turmoil. Enemies of the Imperium, such as mutants and chaos cultists, took advantage of this and ravaged settlements too weak to defend themselves. The noble houses of the upper spires are not immune to such things, and the vying houses took advantage of the moment to send assassins against each other. Those who attempted to flee the hives found no solace. The cooling of the hive cities resulted in strange weather patterns, which resulted in a massive global storm of scalding ash. Those who do make it to some of the scattered settlements find themselves under attack from the Ash Waste nomad tribes, who have emerged in numbers for some unknown reason. Among the multiple conflicts, a few things of note occurred. A murder cyborg, sent by persons unknown, attacks Lord Helmar, the planetary governor. Although he is not killed, he is mortally wounded and ends up in status. This immediately sparked a succession crisis. Lady Hera, the 13th daughter of Lord Helmar, quickly emerges as one of the most brutal of his heirs, having killed more of her siblings than any others. The rebel lord, Lady Credo, consolidates her power across multiple hives throughout the planet, although Hive Primus and the Palatine cluster, those spires near Hive Primus, resist her control. Those loyal to her know each other by the symbol of the 7-pointed star. That brings us to the end of the first book, Sindarak Burning. The second book is The Vaults of Temenos and continues the story. Lady Hera summons the heads of all the great houses. So that's House Grimm, Eulanti, Ranlo, Coiron, Catalyst, and Tai. The houses that we're used to, like Escher and Goliath, are clan houses and are a step below the great houses, but still above the gangers we play in the games. Fearing Hera's wrath, the houses send ill-favoured sons and daughters. In the meeting, Hera announces that those in attendance are now the heads of their houses, as her forces execute the heads of the great houses who did not attend. In the Ash Wastes, rumours of a new prophet of the saint spread. Soon a pilgrimage begins to form, starting at Sindarak City and making its way towards Hive Temenos for some unknown reason. As the pilgrimage expands, it increasingly comes under attack from both gang raiders and Ash Waste nomads. Often, though, those raiders who hear the words of the prophet fall under his spell, although the nomads for some reason appear to be immune. Seeking to foil this new threat, Lady Hera dispatches a senior enforcer, Scrutinator Primus Severalin, to make sure Hive Temenos remains loyal and to discover whatever it is the prophet seeks. Her investigations obviously were on the right track, as there was an attempt on her life made, which was unsuccessful. In a desperate attempt to foil her, the castigation cells beneath Hive Temenos, where the most dangerous heretics were contained, were opened. This sent the hive into turmoil, as the butcher, Bone Gorger, emerged as a new leader. This was a harvest lord of the corpse grinders, who the enforcers had been unable to kill despite 12 attempts to do so. Every time they tried, the demon that possessed this creature just brought him back. This new threat kept Sevelin occupied as the pilgrimage finally arrived at the Hive. Massively outnumbered, the enforcers of the Hive eventually gave ground and the Prophet took Temenos. Deep within the vaults of the Hive, the Prophet opened a sealed chamber and Lady Credo stepped out from his entourage. Although a battle raged within the vault, Lady Credo found a sarcophagus she sought and released the creature within. This was an artificial giant of fluid grace, Lord Azostium of the lost house of Aranthus, the master Lady Credo had always served, and the saint the prophet had heard whispering to him. Strange white-cloaked armies are then seen coming from the depths in the hives, and out in the wastes emerging from underneath. These ancient soldiers carry finely crafted archaeoweapons and bear a symbol of the seven-pointed star. Azotium has now awakened, and with careful preparations of Lady Credo, he soon has control of much of the planet. In our final book of the series, Lady Hera has realized that she cannot withstand the assault on High Primus, and that the houses have already turned on her. So she flees into the wastes on her sky yacht. Her goal is to make it to the Dust Wall, the largest enforcer garrison on the planet that overlooks the Genestealer-infested Hive Secundus. Her journey is short-lived though, as her craft is struck down by arcs of lightning, and she is forced to continue her journey by Gravrunner, all the while herded by packs of Ashwaste nomads. At Spoiltown, she eventually makes contact with enforcer patrols and seeks to gain entrance to the Underway. This is a highway network beneath Necromunda managed by the Squats. If she can gain access, she could easily make her way to the safety of the Dust Wall. However, that was not to be. The Ashwaste nomads had amassed one of the largest war hosts in history under their leader known only as the Lady of Ash. They had one goal, to breach the Squat tunnels and take them further on, and breach them they did. Meanwhile, in Hive Primus, Byzantium ascends to the throne. Enforcers bearing the 7-point seal of the House Aranthus restore order. Gangs of religious fanatics who had been causing chaos before support them, and peace is restored. The noble and clan houses swear fealty, and the Necromunda Ecclesiarchy bestows the blessing of the God Emperor upon him. Only the House Delac is missing from all this, having returned back to the shadows. And that is the Aranthian Succession, a brutal and calculated play for power. I really hope we get to see some of these new models for the Aranthians, both Azotium, and any more of his house that may emerge. I'm also keen to see what these white cloaked troops that they have looks like. Although this is the end of the trilogy, I'm absolutely certain we're moving into a new series of books, as there are still a number of loose ends. Lord Helmar is still alive. He's still in stasis, but his body has been snatched by his illegitimate son, Cal Jericho. Where Cal might be or what his plans are completely unknown at this point. We also know that Lady Hera is still out there. Although her company were murdered by the nomads, she did make it out alive. Intriguingly, the Lady of Ash came face to face with Lady Hera and addressed her as sister. So exactly what that means is a mystery right now. In the last part of the story, Hera is saved by an unlikely source, her older brother Temenos Helmar, the 14th trueborn son. A raid in a Malkadon hunting rig is a reference to the old Spire gangs where nobles use archaeotech to hunt gangers in the Hive's report. I know many will be very excited to see these return as new models. It is her brother Temenos who tells Hera that the Dust Wall has fallen and leads her into the Xenos-infested Hive Secundus to, in his words, find the power to kill a god. Meanwhile, nearby hives begin to see the first signs of Genestealer infection. Exciting times ahead for Necromunda. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.